looking to the world wars. In that World War One, we are studying, and the causes of the World War One. We discussed so far aggressive nationalism, imperialism, uh, then secret alliances also we have discussed, and also age of extremes. Now we'll see another cause for World War One, that is militarism. Okay, dear students, it was the belief of the powerful nations that their security lies in strong military, strong military. So the six powerful nations of the world, those are Germany, Russia, Australia, Austria, Italy, France, and Britain. All these were the powerful countries at that time. They expensed much of their income on war preparation, that is, making their military strong. In order to increase their weapons and military strength, they expensed much more from the GDP. That is, it was $132 million in 1880 from the graph. Look at this graph from the 1880 instead. It was 132 million pounds. By that time, expenditure measured in the pounds. So it was 132 million pounds, that increased to 397 million pounds. That is a three times greater to 132 million pounds. It is enough to say that they shown much focus on war preparation. So they believed that strongest military power is the best way for ensuring security and solving the problems. So they focused on that one. And there are three important things in this militarism. First, that all these countries had given importance to build massive standing armies. That means army strength they increased for their protection, what we call defense. And second point is that they competed, they were in the competition in increasing military and weapons. They also encouraged the people to support the war. Okay, third is that the large industry of weapons started, which constantly promoted the idea of using war as a solution. Means they felt that it is that the war is the solution to all the diplomatic problems. That was the belief which these six powerful nations have made it, and made the people also to give support for that one. So what are the three important things in the militarism? First is building standing massive standing armies for their protection. Second is that they entered into the competition of increasing their military strength. Third is that they felt that war is the solution to all problems. Solution will not come by discussion, by the bilateral discussion. Okay. Solution will not come with peaceful talk. That was their belief. Okay, they preferred war only. For everything, war will give solution. So they believed that war will give solution to all the problems. So to wage war on other countries to find solution, they should have a strong military. So they believed that they should possess strong military. So they focused on increasing their military from 1880 to 1914. So, in the graph, it is shown clearly that the expenditure made by the six powerful nations increased in 1914. It was very high in 1914 when compared to 1880, right? That means the expenditure on military was very little by 19th century ending. When it comes to beginning of the 20th century, it turned to thrice. That means three times greater to the what to call 132 million pounds. So why does the military expenditure increased by 1914? Because World War One started in 1914, ended by 1918. Understand? So this is the what militarism, as many countries focused on increasing their military power. Many of other nations also felt that they should also have strongest military. So they were in the competition of building what you call strongest military, that created armed peace instead of a real peace. So this armed peace with strong military power, they felt very proud and they decided to go for war. So the strongest military with the powerful nations motivated them into the war. So it turned to World War One, right? This is also one of the causes for World War One. The next cause for World War One is Balkan politics, dear students. There were many small kingdoms in Balkan Peninsula. Okay, in Europe there is a Balkan Peninsula. There, some countries were lying on this Balkan Peninsula. Those were Montenegro, Romania, uh, Austria, Bosnia, like that countries were there. So, all those countries which lied on Balkan Peninsula were Christian countries. People in those countries were belonging to Christianity. People belonging to many sections and languages were living in Balkan Peninsula. And this Balkan Peninsula was under the control of Ottoman Turkey Empire. Turkey was a great empire at that time. It was ruled by Sultan Muhammad Sultan. So Sultan was the emperor of Turkey. He was ruling that Balkan Peninsula. Understand? And this Sultan was this empire was collapsed in 1918. So that sorry in the end of the 19th century it was collapsed. After that, after the fall of Ottoman Empire, then some more countries lying on Balkan Peninsula, they tried to establish supremacy over Balkan Peninsula. Understand? That is Austria, Germany, Turkey, Russia, they were in competition to have supremacy over on Balkan region. Okay, and these on these nations, there Russia and Turkey also focused. They wanted to control the Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea into their hands for long time. So a tension prevailed in this area. Understand? During this time, we see Austria also trying to suppress Serbians. There was a war and enmity relations between Austria and Serbia. So Austria trying to suppress the Serbia at the same time where Russia and Turkey trying to get supremacy on Balkan Peninsula. Understand? So here most of the countries in Balkan Peninsula were ruled by the what to call Christian rulers. So all the people in the Balkan Peninsula were Christian people, and which were ruled by the what Ottoman Turkey, that is a what to call a Muslim ruler. So there, the people who were following the Christianity, they want to fight against the Muslim ruler. So they entered into the wars, and that pulled into the World War One. So these are the what main causes for World War One. Okay, we call them long-term causes. And one immediate provocation also there for World War One. World War One started with a cause, one reason that pulled all the nations into war. So that cause is called immediate cause, or what to call immediate provocation. Whether we say provocation, reason, or cause, all are same. So what happened here on June 28th, 1914? There, a Bosnian Serb. What is mean by Bosnian Serb? A person of Serbia living in Bosnia is called Bosnian Serb. Understand? Bosnia also one kingdom. Bosnia also one kingdom like Serbia, Austria. So a Bosnian Serb targeted the Austrian prince, that is Ferdinand of Austria. Look at this. Franz Ferdinand. He was the prince of Austria. Understand? So this prince with his wife Sophia was moving in a park on 28th June 1914. In that park, one Bosnian Serb attacked on Ferdinand, and this Ferdinand and his wife Sophia was assassinated. So Austria wanted the immediate explanation from the Serbia who were the culprits for the assassination of Ferdinand. Austria was very angry on the death, on the assassination of Ferdinand, who was the crown prince of Austria. So here, there, Austria passed an ultimatum. Ultimatum in the sense warning that within 24 hours there should be proper explanation for the assassination of Ferdinand. Anyway, on 20th July 1914, the explanation was not at all satisfied to the Austria, so Austria decided to wage war on Serbia. So Serbia was on the side of the Britain, France, and Russia. We have seen secret alliances were formed. Britain, France, Russia. They formed a group that was called Triple Entente. Germany, Italy, Austria formed a group that was called Triple Alliance. So here Serbia had a defense pact with Britain. So with the support of the Britain, Serbia felt that there will be protection, uh, there will be protection from the Britain as it had a agreement with Britain. So with the support of the Britain, Serbia did not give proper explanation to the Austria. So it made the Austria to wage war on Serbia. So Austria waged on Serbia, as Serbia was a small nation and it is in trouble. Then Britain decided to give support to Serbia. So Britain joined with Serbia, right, in the war with Austria. Then when Britain joined against Austria, giving support to Serbia, then Germany joined against Britain, giving support to Austria, because Germany, Austria, and Italy, they were in a bloc. They too had a military alliance, that is secret alliance. They had a defense pact, right? So Germany jumped into the war giving support to Austria, right? So when Germany jumped into the war, giving support to Austria, there France, which was defeated in the hands of Germany in 1870, that is end of the 19th century. Till then, France was waiting to take revenge on Germany. So that opportunity has come now. So France jumped on the side of the Britain against Germany, right? Germany jumped into the war to support Austria and to support Britain, Serbia and Britain. France jumped into the war against Germany, right? Similarly, to support the Germany and Austria, there Italy too joined. So in this way, we see one after another, all the nations entered into the war with a small incident which occurred at Austria, that is assassination of Archduke Ferdinand, who was the crown prince of Austria, Rakumardu. Okay, so his name was Franz Ferdinand. He was duke for a region in Austria. He was assassinated with his wife. His wife name was Sophia, right? So that is a small incident, right? This is the incident happened and pulled all the countries into war. So it turned to major war, a deadly war, that is World War One. So this is a immediate cause which pulled all the nations into the deadly, dangerous World War One. So the murder of Archduke, that is assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, is immediate cause for the World War One. Okay, so the countries which were participated on behalf of Austria were called here central powers. My dear students, just now I said that secret alliances were formed. I'm showing to you that secret alliances, right? This is triple alliance. What in by triple alliance? That is Italy, Austria, Germany, right? So these triple alliances in World War One time are called central powers. What are called? Central powers. Look at that. There are different names are given for these blocks. Understand? Here you see that what it is, central powers. Which are called central powers? The countries which given support to Austria, right? What are those? Germany, Italy, right? They were on the side of Austria, so they were called central powers. Whereas another group, that is a triple entente, where Britain, France, Russia formed a bloc, a group, right? Those were called allied powers. So World War One broke out between central powers and allied powers. Central powers got upper hand in the war, that is in the what to call World War One time. Okay, that at the beginning, understand, when war started in 1914, there was domination of the Germany, Italy, and Austria. That is called central powers, which were getting success in the war in the initial stage. Okay, but what do we see due to the internal revolution in Russia? What happened? By 1917, uh, there a revolution broke out in Russia. What that revolution? The people in Russia were not happy as Russia was at war in World War One. Russia had expensed much of the military in World War One. So during World War One time, Russia focused much more into the World War One. So there the people suffered with the shortage of food. There was no food, right? The people did not like the dictatorial rule, autocratic rule in Russia. The rule set in Russia is totalitarian rule, that is autocratic rule, what is called dictatorship. That means the president is unquestionable power. The president has unquestionable power, right? So the presidents in Russia were called czars, Tsar, or Czar, pronounced as czar. So Russia was ruled by czars. Czars were dictators. They removed the freedom of the people. So people suffered a lot. So people raised a revolution against the czar's rule in Russia. That is, civil war broke out in Russia. Due to the civil war, Russia was not able to focus at internal issue and the external issue, that is World War One. So in 1917, Russia had withdrawn from the World War One, making one peace treaty with Germany, right? So Russia came out of the World War One in 1917 due to the civil war occurred in Russia. Understand? So at this time, we see that America jumped into the war on the side of allied countries, that is Britain, France, right? As Russia withdrew, then America jumped because the Germany want to see its supremacy over the world. During World War One time, Germany had set up the biggest naval force in the world. So Germany was very proud of its army. So it want to test its power in the world. So it pulled America into war by what you call throwing a bomb on commercial ship commercial ship of America. The commercial ship of America is Lusitania. Lusitania is a commercial ship of America which carrying the what some goods. That ship was broken with the attacks of the German army. Ar- Till then, America was not in the World War One, right? So here we see that America was a neutral nation. It was pulled into the war with the Germans' attack on America's Lusitania commercial ship. Instead, thus, we see that America entered against the Germany, Italy, and giving support to allied powers, that is Britain, France. In that way, we see here when America entered by 1917, then the victory, which was the fate, which was the what is the fate? The success, right? The success which was in the hands of the central powers, it shifted to the allied powers. Finally, we see that allied powers succeeded in World War One by defeating Germany and Italy. In that way, the World War One started in 1914, ended by 1918 with a peace treaty between victorious countries and defeated countries. What are victorious countries? Allied powers. What are defeated countries? Those are what we call central powers. So, what is the treaty occurred between these nations? That is a Treaty of Versailles. Okay, so World War One completed with a Treaty of Versailles. Okay, what is the treaty? That is the Treaty of Versailles. Instead, so Versailles is the name of a mirrored palace. In ninth class, we have studied, dear students, first estate, second estate, third estate. There was a Versailles Palace in Paris of France. It's a mirrored palace. So, in that palace, these victorious nations and defeated countries attended that one. After the First World War, their discussions occurred and treaties were taken at Versailles. It is not about one treaty, some treaties, many agreements were taken place at Versailles. In that treaties, in that many treaties, one very important treaty, that is a Treaty of Versailles, which occurred in 1919. Okay, there these Britain and its allied countries, they imposed several terms and conditions on the defeated countries. Very strict terms and conditions they imposed on defeated countries. Okay, we see before to the World War One, there were many empires. Okay, Ottoman Turkey was an empire that was there. Austro-Hungarian, it also one empire. Germany also one empire, right? So all these empires were dissolved by World War One. In place of empires, new countries were formed. So what is the result of the World War One? The result of the World War One is empires were collapsed and many small nation states emerged in place of the empires, right? Germany, German empire. Germany was also one empire. It was broken into the Democratic Republic. That means Germany turned to a nation. Earlier to the World War One, it was an empire. What is meant by empire? Very large kingdom. It means in empire we find many more kingdoms, right? An empire is ruled by emperor. A kingdom is ruled by a king. So kingdom is very small when compared to empire. Empire is very largest area. So this German empire was broke out. It turned to a small country and they set up Democratic Republic. So after the World War One in Germany, a new political system was set up, that is a Democratic Republic. Similarly, Ottoman Empire also collapsed and their Republic of Turkey was set up. And many colonies in Africa, right? These Germany, Turkey, no, had some colonies in Africa. As these countries were defeated, then their colonies which were in Africa, those were taken and distributed between victorious countries. What are victorious countries? Britain, France, America. So these nations have taken the colonies of defeated countries. Clear? So in that way, we see that a large number of new countries were formed after the what you call World War One. Okay, before World War One, Austria was not a nation; it was an empire, right? That was called Austro-Hungarian Empire. Austro-Hungarian Empire consisted of many kingdoms. All those kingdoms were part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. All those kingdoms came out as Austro-Hungarian Empire was collapsed. Then in place of Austro-Hungarian Empire, new countries were formed after World War One. Those were Austria, Hungary, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Estonia, Latvia, and Finland. These were the new countries formed after the World War One. You will get a question in examination for 1 mark. What are the countries formed after World War? then you should write this point. Sometimes you'll be asked that what are the empires collapsed after the World War? What are the empires collapsed after the World War One? Or simply you'll be asked that what is the result of World War One? Right? Then you should write many empires were collapsed, right? And new nation states were emerged, right? This should be written. League of Nations has formed. Okay. So anyway, there we see that Treaty of Versailles was very important treaty. It imposed many penalties, heavy penalty, high penalty imposed on Germany because these victorious nations they decided that Germany was the reason for World War One because Germans had felt that their race is a supreme race in the world. Their race is called Nordic race. Germans are called Nordic. So Nordic race is supreme race as per their view. So with that view, they felt very proud and entered into the war. So Germany was the reason for World War One. So because of the Germany, many nations have collapsed and many nations have suffered with the destruction. Right? There were many problems faced by the victorious nations, though they got success in World War One because of the Germany. So they imposed heavy penalties on Germany, that monetary terms and what to call compensation. Right? What is monetary term? Germany was asked and demanded to pay a huge amount for victorious nations and some other nations which suffered due to the World War One. So Germany was asked to pay war indemnity. Indemnity means due to the war, the loss which occurred to victorious nation should be paid by Germany. And territorial terms, monetary terms, territorial terms were made on Germany. What are the territorial terms? It's Germany had many territories. Those were taken out and given to victorious nations. In 1870, in Franco-Prussian War, France was defeated and France lost its valley, Saar Valley, famous for mineral mines, was given to Germany in 1870. So that was again restored to the France. So France has succeeded getting revenge on Germany due by World War One. In Germany too had some coal mines. That is Ruhr. Ruhr Valley is famous for what to call coal mines and iron mines, right? So Ruhr Valley is there in Germany. Ruhr Valley was taken by the victorious nations and its colonies. Germany too had colonies in what to call Africa, and all its colonies were taken by what to call victorious nations. Those are called territorial terms. And military terms also imposed on Germany. Germany was asked to maintain very small military. Okay, it was not allowed to have very long, largest naval strength. Okay, in that way, many impositions were laid on Germany. Okay, and when these conditions were laying on Germany, Germany was not invited. My dear students, you have to keep in mind that when this agreement was going on, victorious countries only sitting and decided the conditions to be laid on Germany, right? So Germany was not invited. So why did not they invite Germany into the peace treaty of Versailles? Because Germany was defeated, and it is a right that to punish the Germany, so they did not invite. Understand? So after the World War One, they felt that war is very danger, which leads to destruction and what to call collapse of several countries' economic status. So in order to stop the wars, they they took one important step to found to establish what you call a institution, an international institution, which will struggle to stop the wars. And that international organization was League of Nations. League of Nations was set up after the World War One, and this League of Nations aim aimed to stop the wars which were going to take place in the world. So in League of Nations was set up in 1920. Okay. So League of Nations was the first ever international organization was formed by the Treaty of Versailles. It was established on 11th January in 1920. 11th January 1920 it was established. Understand? This was an organization, an institution to protect the world from threat of wars. Its aim is to what is stop the wars and provide peace to the nations. If there is a war going to take place, any of the two nations or among the nations, then such disputes, such wars have to be settled through negotiations. Negotiation means by talks. Sampradinpulu. Okay. So by talks, by negotiations, the war has to end. Okay. And it aim to reduce the what manufacturing of the arms. Okay, weapons. If military is high and weapons are much more, then it makes the nations to be feel very proud and enters and motivates them to war. So the it inter this League of Nations aimed to settle the disputes through negotiation. First goal. Second goal is that to ensure, that means to make sure disarmament. Armament means weapons. Disarmament means reducing weapon. Understand? And it also decided to work for the development of the world nations and to protect the water welfare of the laborers and health of the people. Right? So this organization was founded with 58 members. Okay, totally it had 58 countries as members in it, and it too also failed in stopping the wars. That is a cause for World War II. We'll discuss in the next class. Okay, my dear students, this is about the what to call World War One and World War One causes. So what we studied, what are the causes of the World War One? You will get a question examination. Explain about the causes of World War One, right? Then you will be asked that in 2 marks, mention the causes for World War One, right? Or you'll be asked for 1 mark or 2 mark that what was the immediate cause for World War One. Then you should write about the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. Or simply you will be asked that what is meant by secret alliances, right? That can be any causes of the world wars can be asked for either 1 mark and 2 mark. So this is the class, my dear students. I will send what to call this home assignment through WhatsApp. Okay, thank you.